Weights fluctuate from week to week pretty easily, especially when you're talking about guys of this size. Like, it's not uncommon for guys to lose 2 or 3 pounds over the course of a conditioning session or a speed session, just due to the intensity of the workout. But that's not an intent. Like, the weights that are out there aren't. It's not by design. We have to trim these guys down necessarily. It's all individual.
Okay.
How's the Hawkeye Challenge going this year?
It's going well. It's going well, and it's definitely serving its purpose in terms of developing leaders and bringing on team cohesion. And I think a lot of our guys are really rounding into their leadership roles, the captains of those Hawkeye Championship teams.
Did you guys alter anything within that this last year?
The nuts and bolts are still the same.
Sure.
I mean, it's worked in the past. We haven't changed a whole lot to it.
Do you think guys are a little bit more comfortable this summer stepping into those roles without all the protocols and things like that?
Yes, they enjoy not having to daily test the guys that have been vaccinated. They enjoy actually being around one another. We were completely siloed off in terms of our training groups, so we'd have multiple training groups throughout the day, and the guys in that training group, those are the only guys they would work out with, lift with, eat with through the entire summer, because we were told to stay away. That way, if someone does test positive, it doesn't, take out the entire team. So just the team cohesion, guys being able to be around one another is huge.
How does it help your team when you've got Tristan Wirfs in the weight room doing things?
It's great because the way Tristan carries himself hasn't changed from when he was a player to now. He interacts with everybody.
Sure.
He trains with a high level of intensity, and guys feed off of that. So having him in the room, being able to be around our guys is huge.
Can you go into detail how quickly it took you to get truly comfortable in this role with the departure of Chris and the nature that happened last year, and then your role stepping in? Did that take time to get used to how that changed your own role?
Yeah, it took time. I mean, obviously everything was so sudden and abrupt the way the change occurred. But the thing that really helped was the team and the coaches and the staff, and everybody really was fully invested in the success of our strength conditioning program and my success. And that's across the board, everybody involved. So that made the transition that much easier.
Were there specific conversations you needed to have with players about? I know you'd obviously been changed the program a great deal from what they were used to, but I imagine those first couple days, it probably felt a little bit different in the atmosphere of that weight room.
In terms of, there weren't any specific. I didn't have to sit down and tell guys, "Hey, here's how it is," because we have a very solid culture in place with the guys. The guys understand what it means to train in our weight room and in our program. So that made the transition more seamless. And I had been around for such a long time that guys knew me, so that transition and getting used to me in this different role wasn't really hard for the guys on the team.
What is the transition like for a true freshman when they come in and start working in the? Do you have like a buddy system set up with those guys, or how do you do that?
All the freshmen train together in one group. They're all at 6 a.m. in the morning. The biggest transition for them is getting used to the pace and the tempo that we operate at. Because it's easy for a freshman to come in and just get burned out from the warm-up, just from toes on the line. The regimentation and the pace and the structure that we provide, it requires not only physical but also mental focus. And you have to be focused for a 2-hour block of time, and that's not something guys are used to. And plus our standards are very high, and that's another thing that guys have to adjust to. But they come in knowing what the deal is, and so they understand that there's a learning curve involved, and they adjust to that, and that kind of leads to them being able to handle things moving forward.
How much pride do you take in Iowa being a developmental program and you being obviously a big part of that?
I take a huge amount of pride in that. I mean, we're all, no one's a finished product. As soon as you feel like you've reached the ceiling in terms of your ability to learn and grow, you're done. And that's one thing I appreciate about the way we do things. Like, everybody has room for growth and improvement, and that's one thing from freshmen to seniors. Even the seniors are trying to play the best level of football as a senior. They don't feel like, no one on this team feels like they've made it and they're done, and they can kind of put their tools away, and that's it for their development. So that's a huge part of our success as a program.
What about Monty Pottebaum's explosiveness in the weight room? I guess he's had a pretty good hang clean this year. I mean, how does that impact him? How does that translate over to the football field, and how does he kind of compete in the weight room?
He's highly competitive. He's definitely a guy that brings energy to the way we train. And if you just put on the film and the way he plays, you can see it reflected in the way he trains is reflected in his physicality on the field. His mental, like he's extremely focused guy. There's not a lot of chit chat with Monty unless you approach him with something. He's fully focused on training, and that shows in his development.
Obviously, the reputation of this weight room was damaged by last year and by the departure of Chris Doyle. You've got new recruits coming in all summer. What are you doing to kind of say or to kind of show that the culture has truly changed and that this is a safe space for future athletes?
There's nothing specific that I've said to these guys.
Right.
I think the guys that have come in have been around our players. They've been around me. I've sat down with a lot of our guys, all the freshmen. I've sat down with every single freshman on an individual basis, just so they can get to know me as a person, to break down any type of preconceived notions of how it's going to be. They get to know me as Ray Braithwaite, their head strength coach first, before I'm coaching them on the field. So they get to know me on a personal level that has nothing to do with how much they lift or how fast they run or how high they can jump. And I think if you develop that relationship on the personal level, guys will work. Guys don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care. And so I think that goes a long way in developing relationships with our guys.
Do you feel like you're having to mend the reputation of this weight room?
No, I don't. Guys come in and train. I don't think there's anything guys walk in and they feel like there's skeletons. There's none of that involved at all.
How much are you involved with the recruiting process? Chris used to be real involved with that.
Yep. So I have an opportunity to meet with recruits on a one-on-one basis, just like Chris did in the past, so that has not changed at all.
Do you get a lot of questions about what had happened in the past?
No, I don't. It's more strength conditioning related. It's more me trying to explain to them what our strength conditioning program entails. Not much about what has happened in the past.
Did you have any weight room records this last go around?
You talking about in the summertime?
Yeah.
Nothing. In the summertime, like if records are going to be broken, typically it's done in the wintertime because it's summertime. The focus is on position-specific training and ramping up our conditioning, and it doesn't really lend itself to going hard and heavy in the weight room for an extended period of time.